When I was 14, my family moved into a rental farmhouse in rural Pennsylvania. It was the kind of place that looked perfect in a Zillow listing. White wooden siding, wraparound porch, surrounded by open fields and old barns. My dad had just gotten a new job out of state, and my mom wanted to try living the simple life, as she called it. We were city people, really. The idea of country quiet appealed to her more than it should have. The house sat at the end of a long gravel road. No neighbors for miles, just cornfields and forest. It was isolated, sure, but peaceful in a way that felt almost too still, like the world had stopped moving around us. The first couple weeks were uneventful. My mom gardened. My dad commuted. I spent my time biking the trails behind our property or watching horror movies on a beat-up laptop I'd found in the attic. There was no cable, and the Wi-Fi was spotty at best, so entertainment options were limited. At night, I'd sometimes fall asleep with my earbuds in, letting static white music drown out the sounds of creaking wood and the occasional fox scream in the distance. Then came the night I saw someone watching me. It was about 9:30 p.m. My parents had driven into town for their weekly grocery run. They liked to do it late when the store was less crowded. They'd be gone a couple hours. I was in my room upstairs, lights off, laptop open. I remember I was halfway through watching some old slasher movie, The Prowler, I think, when I noticed movement out of the corner of my eye. At first, I thought it was just a trick of the light, a moth maybe. But when I glanced at the window again, I saw a shape, a distinct silhouette outside. The window in my room faced the back field. There was a thin dirt path that cut through the high grass and led to an old wooden shed. The window sat about 8 feet off the ground, second floor, but someone was standing there. I froze. At first, my brain tried to rationalize it. Maybe it was a reflection. But then the shape moved, not away, closer. And that's when I realized something that made my blood run cold. Whoever it was, they were tall, too tall. Their head nearly touched the top of the window frame, and they had to be standing on something, maybe the shed roof or a ladder, but they were perfectly still, not swaying, not shifting their weight, just staring. I couldn't see their face clearly, only the outline, shoulders, head, maybe long hair. No details, just black against the pale blue glow of my laptop screen. I closed the laptop without even thinking. The sudden darkness made it harder to see out the window, but I wasn't about to turn on the lights and give them a clearer view of me. I slid off the bed slowly and crawled across the floor to the hallway. I made my way downstairs and locked the back door, even though I was pretty sure it had already been locked. I locked the front door too, then every window I could reach. My heart was pounding so hard I could hear it in my ears. I didn't call my parents. I didn't want to scare them if it turned out to be nothing. Instead, I sat in the living room, behind the couch, lights off, trying to convince myself I was imagining things. I stared at the front door, the one with the small half-moon window at the top, and I waited. About 15 minutes passed. Then I heard it. Tap, tap, tap. The sound came from the back of the house. 3 slow, deliberate taps on the glass, like fingernails on a window pane. I held my breath. Tap, tap. 2 more. This time softer. I wanted to scream. I wanted to run, but my body wouldn't move. I was paralyzed. I couldn't even peek around the couch. I don't know how long I stayed like that. Eventually, the tapping stopped. But then came the worst sound of all. The creak of the porch boards. Someone was walking around the house. Slowly, methodically, step by step, their boots pressed against the old wooden porch, circling from the back door to the side windows. Then the front. I crouched lower. I could see the window in the front door from where I was hiding. For a second, it was clear. Then, a face pressed against the glass, smiling, wide eyes, lips pulled into a grin so unnatural it almost didn't look human. The window was fogged slightly, but I swear to you, that man, whoever he was grinning like he knew I was there, just behind the couch, too scared to breathe. Then he knocked. Once. Knock. And walked away. I waited another full hour, heart still pounding, before my parents finally pulled into the driveway. I jumped up, ran outside, and told them everything. They didn't believe me at first. Thought I'd imagined it. Let my horror movies get the best of me. But then my dad checked around the property and found something that proved I wasn't imagining anything. An old wooden ladder, propped against the backside of the shed. It hadn't been there before. And at the top of it, scratches on the window frame, as if someone had gripped the ledge to steady themselves. We called the police. They said it was probably just a drifter or trespasser. They took a report but didn't seem concerned. We installed motion lights the next day. My mom even bought a dog from the local shelter, a big black mutt named Rufus who barked at everything. And I mean everything. But it didn't matter, because 2 nights later, it happened again. This happened in the winter of 2018. When I was a junior in high school, I lived with my dad in a small neighborhood just outside of Des Moines, Iowa. It was a quiet suburb, one of those areas where every street ends in a cul-de-sac and most of the neighbors know each other by name. I used to think that made it safe. I don't anymore. My dad worked the overnight shift as a security guard at the regional hospital. He'd leave around 6:30 p.m. and get home just before sunrise. I was used to being alone at night, and honestly, I kind of liked it. I'd make myself dinner, play Xbox, maybe fall asleep on the couch. We had a Ring camera and an alarm system. It felt secure. Until the night, I realized someone was watching the house. It was a Friday in late December. Snow had just started falling, light flurries. Nothing serious. I'd just gotten home from school and was looking forward to a weekend of doing absolutely nothing. My dad left for work like usual, told me to keep the doors locked and not stay up too late. I made some frozen chicken nuggets, queued up The Office on Netflix, and settled into my usual spot on the couch under a blanket. Around 10 p.m., I paused the show to grab a drink from the kitchen. Our kitchen had a sliding glass door that led to the backyard. Beyond the yard was a row of pine trees, and just beyond that, a narrow walking trail with a single streetlight. As I walked into the kitchen, something outside caught my eye. There was someone standing under the streetlight. At first, I thought it was just a neighbor out walking their dog or maybe clearing their driveway. But no, this person wasn't moving, just standing still, dead center in the light, not even swaying. It was hard to make out any details, but I could tell it was a man. He was tall, maybe 6'2" or more, wearing what looked like a hoodie with the hood pulled tight around his head. I stood there for a minute, just staring. He didn't move, didn't look away. It was like he was facing the house, facing me. I tried to shake it off and turned away, but something in my gut told me not to ignore it. I turned off the kitchen light and crept closer to the sliding door. He was still there. And now I was sure. He was facing the house, just standing under the light like he wanted to be seen. I quickly shut the blinds and locked the door. Maybe it was a weird coincidence. Maybe it was nothing. But I felt on edge the rest of the night. I even brought my Xbox controller and blanket up to my room, just so I could be further from the ground floor. I fell asleep eventually. But then, at 3:41 a.m., I woke up to a ring notification. Motion detected at front door. My heart dropped. I didn't even want to check it, but I forced myself. I picked up my phone and opened the app. There he was. Same guy, standing just outside the front door. No knocking, no trying the handle. Just standing there, leaning slightly forward like he was trying to hear something through the door. The image was in night vision mode, so it was grainy, but I could still make out the shape of his face. He had no facial hair, maybe late 20s, but it was his eyes that got me. Even through the black and white feed, I could tell he was staring right at the camera. I watched, frozen, as he slowly turned his head, like he was scanning the windows, then walked off screen. I didn't sleep after that. When my dad got home around 6 a.m., I showed him the footage. He was obviously freaked out. We called the police, filed a report, handed over the video. They said it was likely just a prowler, someone casing homes. We should keep an eye out and let them know if anything else happened. For a while, it didn't. But about 2 weeks later, it snowed again. Heavy this time, 6 inches overnight. School got canceled. My dad was off too, because of the storm. He went out early to shovel the driveway. That's when I heard him call my name. Hey, get out here, you need to see this. I threw on my boots and coat and stepped outside. He was standing at the edge of the house, by the side yard. The snow was untouched, except for a trail of footprints. They came from the woods, cut across the yard, and led straight to my bedroom window. They stopped there. Just one set, back and forth, like someone had paced there. For a while. The worst part? There were no prints leading away. None. Whoever it was had either walked backwards to cover their tracks, or, somehow, they were still out there, hiding. We checked every inch of the property. Nothing. Not even a smudge on the window. Just those perfect, crisp footprints in fresh snow, pressed deep like someone had stood still for a long time. That was enough for my dad. We replaced the locks, added cameras on all sides of the house, even bought motion sensor floodlights. Things stayed quiet after that, until spring. I was cleaning my room one day, and I noticed something in the dirt just under my window. A small silver zipper pull. It wasn't mine. It looked old, rusted, like it had come off a jacket or hoodie. I picked it up with a tissue and threw it out. But it made me wonder, how close had he gotten? Was he watching me from inches away, maybe with his face pressed to the glass while I slept? I'll never know for sure. But every time I hear that ring chime in the middle of the night, I still feel that same drop in my stomach. That same silent question whispering in the dark. Is he back? This happened to my older cousin, Mia, during her sophomore year of college. She went to school in Vermont, small liberal arts college surrounded by thick woods and mountains. The whole place had a cozy, historic feel. Stone buildings, winding roads, old houses turned into dorms. It snowed constantly, and at night the campus looked like something out of a quiet New England horror novel. Mia had taken a work-study job as a night receptionist for one of the administrative buildings. Her shift ran from 9 p.m. to 2 a.m., Sunday through Thursday. It was boring but easy. Just buzz and professors who forgot their keys. Answer the occasional phone call. Keep an eye on the cameras. She liked the solitude. The building was an old converted mansion on the far edge of campus. 3 floors, creaky wood paneling, massive windows everywhere. At night it was mostly empty. No cleaning crew. No maintenance, just her. And something else. This happened in late October. It was cold, but not snowing yet. The air was heavy with that eerie stillness that comes just before winter really sinks in. Mia had settled into her shift with a thermos of coffee and a book of poetry she barely touched. Most of the lights in the building were off to save power, except for the front lobby and her little office near the entrance. Around midnight, she got the feeling someone was watching her. She was seated at the front desk, facing the main glass doors. Outside was a brick path and a row of old hedges that led to the sidewalk. Beyond that, woods, a thick wall of pitch black forest. There was a single lamp post across the street, but the light barely cut through the trees. At first, she thought it was just her nerves. Being alone in a big dark building at night can do that. But the feeling got stronger. She started glancing out the glass doors every few seconds, expecting to see something. Nothing. Until she stood up. From a different angle, she noticed it. Just barely. A figure. Not on the path. Not on the sidewalk. But deep in the trees. Standing perfectly still. She couldn't make out any details. Just the outline of a man. Tall. Shoulders hunched. Almost blending into the darkness. But once she saw him, she couldn't unsee him. He was facing the building. Facing her. She stared for a minute, unsure whether to panic or laugh. She blinked, looked again. Still there. Still not moving. She picked up the desk phone and called campus security. No answer. She left a voicemail describing what she saw, then turned back to the doors. He was closer. Not much, maybe a few feet forward, but enough that she knew she hadn't imagined it. He had moved while she turned away for just a second. She locked the front door, pulled the blackout curtain across the glass, and backed into the office. She texted her roommate, told her what was happening, and sent her location. Then she sat back down, staring at the security monitor. Nothing. Just black and white feeds of empty hallways and staircases. She kept watching. Minutes passed. Then something flickered. Camera 6, which pointed at the east side fire exit, glitched for a second. The screen blurred and came back. This time, there was movement. A blur by the door. Too fast to make out. She rewound the footage, frame by frame. There. Someone walking past the side window. Barely visible, but the same height. The same hunched shoulders. She paused the frame. Took a photo with her phone. The man from the woods. He was now on the property. She checked the door. Still locked. Then came the knock. 3 slow, heavy thuds on the glass front doors. She jumped, heart racing, and peeked through the edge of the curtain. He was standing right there, face pressed to the glass, pale skin, wide blank eyes like he wasn't fully awake, like he was watching her, but not seeing her. He didn't move, didn't speak, just stood there breathing, fogging up the glass slightly with every exhale. Mia turned off the lights in the office, grabbed her bag. She had no idea what to do. She couldn't leave. He was right outside. Couldn't stay. He had found her. So she hid. She crept into a small back room where the old file cabinets were stored, locked the door, sat on the floor, and called 911 with her phone nearly on mute. The dispatcher said help was on the way and told her to stay put. Then, silence. She waited. 5 minutes. 10. Nothing. She heard no footsteps. No door opening. Just stillness. And then, the most terrifying sound yet. Breathing. Not hers. Deep. Slow. Just outside the storage room door. She covered her mouth. The breathing stopped. Then the doorknob jiggled. Just once. Not forcefully. Almost. Curious. She could barely hear her own voice whispering to the 911 dispatcher, "He's here. He's trying the door." Then came the voice. Just a whisper, but she heard it clearly through the thin wood. Are you all alone in there? Her stomach dropped. That voice wasn't questioning. It was smiling. Seconds later, she heard footsteps walk away. Then the creak of the fire exit opening. The alarm didn't go off. He'd somehow disabled it. Campus security finally arrived 12 minutes later. Mia was escorted to a patrol car, sobbing. They searched the grounds and the woods with flashlights. Found nothing. But in the footage, there he was. Again. Walking past camera 3. Staring into the lens. Grinning. Holding something small in his hand. They zoomed in. It was her lanyard. She must have dropped it in the hallway while running. That image was burned into her brain. The face. The eyes. The small red tag of her student ID swinging from his fingers. They never caught him. Campus added more lights. Better locks. But Mia never went back to that job. She moved off campus the next semester. Sometimes, when she visits us, she still talks about it. How she wonders what would have happened if the door had been unlocked. If she hadn't seen him through the glass. She says sometimes she dreams about that reflection. And in the dream, she opens the door.